Welcome to another Honor Your Inner Creator interview with someone I had the pleasure of coaching through an incredible journey that has brought her to where she is today. Nicole Manarino is an amazing dance artist and choreographer and a fitness and mindset coach based in Brooklyn, New York. In this interview, you'll hear how finding financial freedom developed alongside her artistic, personal, and even physical empowerment. Nicole shares how she changed her insecure need to be accepted and loved and how she turned her wounds into her gifts. You'll want to stay tuned in until the end to hear what she has to say about working with fear and desire, a common theme I notice in these incredible creatives I work with who step into their brilliance. Enjoy this conversation and make sure to like, subscribe, or share this with someone you love. If you're called to working with me, go to michelleboulay.com or any of my social media platforms and send us a message. Your dreams are powerful, and you never know what is possible until, in an act of love, you say yes. So I'm here with Nicole Manarino. Nicole, tell us who you are so people can know who we're talking to.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Nicole Manarino, choreographer, performer, dancer, and a holistic fitness coach.
Yeah. And where are you based?
I'm in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay, awesome. Well, I will say for us that I was, before getting on this call with you, I was trying to remember when we first met. And I'm not sure if it was before or after the show you did at the Whitney or seeing you and Beth Gill's work at the Chocolate Factory in New York. But I know we connected when we were both artists in residence with two separate choreographers at Bard in upstate New York. And we got to live in a shared house together. So while you were making your ginger tea every morning, and I was cooking my breakfast before we would both go off to our separate rehearsals, we got some time to connect. And I've just admired you as an artist. So for me, it was it was an awesome surprise when you reached out to me at the end of 2020 to talk about coaching together. So I'm wondering if you would like to share maybe where you were at that time and what kind of instigated what I see now for you. What is it? 3 years later, we're in 2023 still. Yeah. As a really transformative journey. So I'm just curious, like what was the seed that planted? What triggered you to start to take action around this?
Yeah, 100%. So I remember it very well. So this was basically a few months after the shutdown had happened in March. And well, let me go back. Probably 3 years before I contacted you, I had like a really clear idea and vision that I wanted to start making my own work and choreographing. And I had just finished working with Sarah Mitchelson, and I felt really like I want to do my own thing. And I was petrified. So 2.5 years after that, the pandemic happened and everything like stopped. And that was a pretty big wake-up call, like that I basically had not started to do my own work, and that if I didn't start it then, like it probably wasn't gonna happen. It just felt like, you have all the time in the world right now, like start doing something.
Yeah.
So I started, and then a few months later is when I was in a position where I had committed to doing these performances, but since it was in the shutdown, all the theaters were closed, we were planning to do them outside. And so in a way, it was totally like self-produced, like there was no commitment to any organization. And I felt wishy-washy, and I felt scared. And I remember watching one of your, I think it was a What's Up Wednesday video on Instagram. And it was from that I got the idea, like I was like, I think I need support somehow. I didn't know what that looked like at the time. And that's basically when I reached out to you, was from watching the What's Up Wednesday video and knowing like, I'm scared, and like a big question mark of like, am I actually going to do these performances or not? And at the time I had two dancers that were committed to the project. So like, I was like, I need to make this happen. So yeah.
Wow, it's so funny because I didn't realize that you already had the two dance. I didn't realize you were already in the process, you
Mhm.
know. And gosh, another thing it makes me think I should do more of those What Up Wednesdays because those are fun actually. You never know who's going to be watching what you're sharing. Um, but I remembered, it's funny as I'm hearing and seeing you on video talk about this and say you were petrified. I remember that. I remember seeing that in your body and your energy. I remember it in your voice. And now 3 years later, you're just looking at me with such a different level of calm. It'll like almost make me cry, just on all the ways that you showed up to become who you are and to continue to become. And I think something that's unique about you, which I want to say this for people listening too, that this is not the case for everyone, that there is this clear vision, because I would sense that with you. It was like you were unwavering. And you got scared for sure. You even got scared the first time you called me. I remember the questions you asked me, like, are you, about like self-judgment or would I judge you even? Would I be able to support you? Because what if I didn't like what you did as a choreographer? And I was like, it's not about that at all.
Remember that too.
Yeah. So I mean, I think there's, for folks there's sometimes there is this uncovering process, which I also think you did in your business, like your other business. It was like uncovering, how does this want to show up to serve or just alongside. I don't want to say it's less than or more like, or that the fitness is less than or the dancing is more than, but like your ability, which I think is a very important thing for artists, to be able to hold a multiplicity, and see that these things can talk to each other. So I know I just said a lot, but does anything pop up for you in response to any of that?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think the original reason I came to you was for the choreography, and it had a really I in a way, yeah, like side by side journey together in our work together of like both the choreography and the business, and them both growing simultaneously in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you share? Because I feel like sometimes early in this work, I mean, I saw you go through breakthroughs the whole time we worked together, and I know you're continuing to do that. I'm kind of curious, like, what you would share as some of the biggest learning points in this journey. If you remember that the first cycle of period when we were working together, and it was about choreography, and then it was starting to grow the business. And I saw you step through a lot of fears that you've had. So if there were like one or two or three things that you're like, these are the things that I learned and that continue to feed my life now.
Yeah. Putting myself out there. Like, I mean, before I started working with you, and even for a while when I wasn't even on Instagram, I think.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't even have an account. So putting myself out there, like whether it's social media, letting people know about my performances, that felt like a really, really big shift
Yeah.
on all sorts of levels. I mean, I think, yeah, just the start was just doing it. And then by the end of our work together, I think we had stopped working together, but I think it was definitely like allowed from what we had done together, did a whole video series on Instagram, and just getting to the point where I felt comfortable enough to like, talk every day and make a video every day. And I intentionally did ones that were talking because that felt much scarier than, posting about squats or push-ups or something that was like more movement based.
Yeah.
So yeah, that for sure. And then a lot around finances and money, I think was a huge part of our work together. Yeah, having the confidence to do a fundraiser, just period. having the confidence to raise my rates for my coaching, to ask for what I feel is the value and know is the value, really. And that's really been huge, both as like a growth point for me, but it has also brought in clients that I love working with. Because I think when we started, that wasn't the case with everyone. And now I really like just I really, really like can't wait to see my clients. Like there's just like a big love for them. So I think that came as a way of like setting up, like first knowing what I needed.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, oh, so many good things. One thing from what you just said is, and I know we really navigated this in the earlier days of working together, was the money mindset in our artistic community. And I know for myself, I had to, I'm just going to say this, I remember I had residency set up for 2020, and I was in this work, I was in this study around prosperity that wasn't the predominant voice of what I was hearing around me in my community. And I'm not saying one is better or the other, but one thing I would say in dance classes all the time when I was teaching was like, okay, you can hold your breath and try to do this thing. And what does that make possible? What if you breathe when you do this thing? What does that make possible? You're not, neither is better or worse, right or wrong, but what is the thing that you want? So, what is the foundation of what you're working with, the cause to make something possible? And your dream to be able to create your work, first of all, and trust that you could put yourself out there, and trust that it didn't matter what other people thought. While at the same time, I feel like your work does come from a deep love for the people who will show up to watch it. So there's oh my god, I just put too many pieces in here, but that piece of, as an artist, I'm curious if there's anything you want to say around your journey of relating to finances and prosperity in a different way. Like, what had to shift in you to make what you're doing now possible?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And tell me if you need me to break it down a little bit, because I know I said a lot too.
I mean, so much, I think, yeah, I'm just gonna like ramble, but
Yeah.
I mean, things that are coming to the top of my head are like letting go of, yeah, the need to be right, or the need to like not fail, I guess. Like this, yeah, this I think I had an idea almost before I started working with you, that it was like, if I have a performance, that's gonna like determine my destiny or something, or like, it's either gonna fail or succeed, and that's gonna be like this ultimate voice, or something that determines how good of a person I am, or how like good of an artist.
Yeah, how good of an artist you are. Sorry. It is a funny thing though, because I remember feeling that too as a young choreographer.
Yeah. And
Okay.
now it's like, you know, yeah, I think letting go of that and just trusting that it's all, there really are no failures in a way. Like it's just like keeping focus on like what feels important, and like, am I moving in that direction, and have I gotten off track a little bit? Okay, great. Like I'm gonna reorient. And it's okay if I've gotten off track. In fact, that's, part of the process. So that's been a big thing,
Yeah.
a huge thing. Um, Getting comfortable with rejection has been a really, really big thing. I want to say more for my business,
Yeah.
and asking people to donate. So more like on a really financial level, like money, how it moves, just getting really comfortable with rejection. And that the fascinating thing with that is that it totally transfers to performance, because you kind of get to this place where you really like are pretty free.
Yeah.
You just don't, you're not worried about like, is someone going to reject this or accept this? In fact, they're free to have their own experience, and that's awesome. I think that was huge. I mean, I'm still, I was just calling people and like, it's still a big thing for me, but it's gotten a lot different. But yeah.
Well, I think what's neat too is we did spend a lot of time coaching for sales calls. And even just, hearing you talk about this now with a different level of ease and the direct translation, I think this is the beauty of learning how to sell, is it comes with that sort of slimy, I'm going to try to get something from you. But the truth is, it's that beautiful, the thing you said that was so beautiful about performance, you're free. You're letting them be free. There is no manipulation, there is no codependency. It's this is what I'm doing, and come along if you want. But I think the thing that's, I'm saying these words, but I'm just remembering how much fear you worked through around this, if it's okay for me to say, and like wanting to get it right, and like and it's like this mistake that we often make early in our work and in our service, that we're so afraid that we make it all about ourselves and we forget that this is actually a moment of connection.
Totally.
Yeah, and I guess I just want to applaud you for, I was actually just referring to you anonymously to another client the other day, because I think what you were willing to do is do things that scared you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
What makes you able to do that, Nicole?
I mean, it's gonna sound a little dark, but I think being like abused as a child,
Mm,
I think like I can go into fear pretty. It's like, oh, okay. It's just fear. I don't know.
yeah.
I think I have some staying power that I got from, yeah, my childhood. And I feel like it's something, the more I do, the more muscle I build with it.
Mm.
Yeah, like I think it started when I started rock climbing, and it
Uh-huh.
was like, oh, this is scary. And then you just like, yeah, you do like, I mean, climbing's beautiful because it's like you can really control it and you can do like a little bit.
Mm.
Like, I don't know if you know what lead climbing is.
Yes, I think I do. Explain it.
But yeah, I mean, you climb, you put the gear in the rock and then you climb above the gear and then you're gonna fall. Like, so if you put your gear in, you climb above 10 feet above, you're gonna fall 25 plus feet if you fall. So, anyways, it's scary. So but you can kind of calibrate it. Like it's like you put gear in and like, let me try to go up like 5 feet. And you can like incrementally, in fact, I think Alex Honnold talks a lot about it, the guy who like free solos
Mm.
cap and have to I think.
Yeah.
I'm not up on the routes he's doing, but he does a lot of free soloing, but he talks about like how he built that muscle. Like it didn't just start, like he started gradually. um and so I think that, yeah, it's like a muscle I feel like I've started building since I was climbing, and then working with Sarah was often scary. Um, and then, yeah, pretty much after that, I started my own stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I feel like what you're sharing is there's no victimization. It's like, okay, here are the cards that I've been dealt. This is what this is how I'm going to respond to that. And I do remember, just moments when you would text me, and I remember places where I was like, I remember once you texted me, and I think I was in Santa Monica, and I'm like listening to your message as I'm walking to the Whole Foods or something. And there was something you were really scared about, so it's like, I think, I think there's also something to be said for, and I still do this in my life, to have that person with me who's going to who's going to help me learn how to hold myself until I can do it on my own. And it's like, I saw both sides of it. And now talking to you, over a year, maybe out of our container, or about a year, it's like just seeing, it's like there's a difference in your eyes, there's a difference in your posture, your energy, and you've continued to do the work. It's not like it doesn't stop. Like what I'm hearing is that you're just going to keep building those muscles. And I guess as an aging dancer, I want to say this too. It's like there's a refinement and a subtlety, for me. I don't know how you feel as an aging dancer too, if there's anything you want to, I'm talking about like different layers of things too, but there's a maturity that I feel like coaching for me personally sped it up, you know,
Up,
just sped up the ability to relate to, oh God, is this performance gonna be my declaration for the rest of my career? It just that like self-consciousness, like we so deeply want to be accepted and seen and loved. And part of that, I feel like, is what drove us into being on stage. And at the same time, to really be our most powerful selves as artists, we need to let that go.
mm-hmm.
That's how I feel. I don't know, like, do you have anything that you want to share in response to that?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Yeah. I mean, it's like, feels like a process of continually letting that go. I ironically feel like stronger than ever physically. So I don't really think much about like aging. I don't know if I'm like a weirdo or just like,
No, you're probably just training more than I am. So that's probably all that is.
Yeah, it's interesting because I do less physically than I used to when I was like in my 30s. However, I have a theory that I think there was something around like getting my finances more under control, actually like gave me more stability. And I think that like I used to always feel like my back would get thrown off like pretty badly for a while. And that was like 3 or 4 years that it was like every, I don't know, 6 months, my back was out. um, And I think that there's something around that actually, because I actually do less like body maintenance, shall we call it now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is all that stuff around the energetics of your root chakra and foundation and the right to have and be here and all those things. So that is amazing. I'm really glad you brought that up, because I just came from a Pilates session with someone here, and it was almost like there was too much holding in my pelvis. And I'm about to go work with an old teacher who's one of my energy teachers. And I was like, let's see what happens after I work with her. Because, we were working on the details of like the hip flexor, the superficial muscles not firing. And I know, I love that you're bringing the finances in though, like as directly as you are, in terms of how that actually has a physical manifestation in your body.
Yeah. And a lot of the work I've been doing in my process has actually affected like not just my clients, but me. And it's kind of combining like energy work with movement. I think that also has something to do with it, which in a way sorry.
Your creative process is what you're referring to, what you're bringing that into. Say more.
Yeah. I mean, the piece that I did last, we literally spent the whole time like moving from love and heart space and like, which I don't remember. Oh no, I started working with that a long time ago. But anyways, yeah. And I think that combining that, like the energy work with whether it's aerobic training or push-ups or squats, like has really shifted my body as well as I do it. I've been creating the practices for my clients, but I think that it had a huge shift on, on me. And I wasn't doing that like 7 years ago. So
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's a good point for why someone would want to come work with you. It's just like the multifaceted layers of what you're doing.
yeah.
Do you want to share anything specifically about the structures that you've set up in your business, and what you are off both? Let's talk about your holistic fitness business first. Like what is it that you're up to these days?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I work with people mostly privately, and I work with people who are usually in like high performance jobs or are holding a lot or have a fair amount of stress. And they're looking for something that will help make sure that stress doesn't get riled up, or they may already feel like it's getting riled up. um, and and it really depends on the client of how we work. But that's kind of the starting point for a lot of people. Some people come with chronic pain, and we start from there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm personally curious now too, if you want to share anything about, because I haven't talked to you about this in a while, like what your vision is with this work, or the two of these facets of your work, if you want to share anything about that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to train people in doing the practices that I do, and that's where I am, and I'd love for, that to grow.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I'd love for the work that I'm doing privately with people to expand. Uh, so yeah.
Okay. Well, where can people find out about that work?
On Well, you can email info@NicoleManarinoCoaching.com, or you can go to my website, which is NicoleManarinoCoaching.com.
Okay. And then I just want to talk about dance as we close up. Um, I know we've been overlapping here and there, but tell me what you're working on, what's coming up, where people can find that information about you. God, and I'm just seeing you. As I'm asking these questions, I'm just going to share that I am personally enjoying just memories of seeing you on stage in your own work at Lincoln Center when I got to see that last year, and then also, like I said earlier, like at the Whitney Museum and the Chocolate Factory in various spaces in New York. So tell us what's exciting you about dance right now and what you're up to.
Hmm. What is exciting me? Well, I can answer this simple question first, which is that we're doing performances October. I think the first night is the 20th of October, and it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and there's 3 weekends, which is exciting. Um, and in terms of what I'm excited about it, there's a lot. The main things are like creating spaces that are really looking at desire and agency and drive in performers,
Mhm.
and how to have a space that supports that, and both like challenges that and holds that, and kind of stimulates that, has really been where the work has been. It's
And tell me what theater, what venue, so people can go see it. What city?
Yeah, so it's in Brooklyn, and it's at Kestrels, which is on 6th Street in Gowanus.
Mm. Yeah, I
So
haven't been to see it.
yeah.
Okay, I think the final thing I want to ask you is just, again, I can't emphasize this enough, like the wonder and the awe and the inspiration I feel in hearing about your journey and being able to be a part of it. And I'm curious what you would say. I don't know, it's not kind of a generic question, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like, what would you say to your younger self, or yourself from 2019 or 2020, before you dove into all of this?
Hmm. Doesn't seem generic to me. Let's see. What would I say? Like as advice?
Yeah, like what I don't care, anything. You could be like, cut your hair like this, or but like maybe there's some loving words, or I because I think there's probably a lot of people at any stage of their lives. I think actually I'll say this. I think we go through this all the time in our lives. It's not like it stops, this work that we do, but I think there are moments when we incorporate, and because we've lived the experience enough, like you went out there enough times, we would rehearse on our calls how you would speak to people at your donor events. We had rehearsal. And so you live and do things enough times that they kind of seem like second nature. And then I feel like we're called to our next level of expansion. There's another rehearsal period for that, but we have all these underlying skills. So I'm just curious, if you were to like just imagine back to yourself 4 or 7 years ago, and is there anything you'd love to say to her?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just move through with the fear. Like, the fear is all good. Just like move through with the fear and let yourself desire and go for what you want. I think that would be the biggest things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. Fear is okay. Just move forward with it. Like, as opposed to letting it stop you.
Yeah. And even as you're saying, move forward with it, I'm feeling like you don't have to push it away. You don't have to ignore it. You don't have to focus on it, but it is, I from what you're sharing and from the work I've done with people, I think the richest work happens when we bring this with, like, we bring all of ourselves with us. It's not like there's some part of you over there that hasn't contributed to who you are now. It's like the integration of it. So when I hear you say move with the fear, are you working on that in your dance?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, in a way I am.
Sure. Uh-huh.
Underlying. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anything else you want to share, Nicole?
Yeah. I mean, I think also just asking for support or receiving support. I do have a feeling of like, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to think that we were on a call and I was like originally coming to you, asking you for support, was scared to commit. I don't know if I think I was pretty scared to commit to it. And then that choice basically to commit to it, like, changed everything. So yeah, I guess just also some kind of vision around, sorry, I'm not being super articulate with this. I think some kind of vision around like that certain choices can have huge impacts, and to both be aware of those choices and to go for them. Yeah.
Wow. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm inspired.
Yay.
Thanks so much, Nicole. I know people
Yeah.
love you out of this. I love you. I think you're amazing.
I love you too.
For what we got to do together.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you so much for listening. I would love to hear your takeaways in the comments below, so please type them in. And of course, like the video and subscribe to my channel, as we will be posting more of these conversations and other great content. And why not share this with a friend or a loved one that comes to mind? Who is that person? There's real power in connections, especially when we're taking a transformational journey. If you want to connect with me about the work I do with creatives, wellness practitioners, artists, etc., please send us an email at info@michelleboulet.com. Have the most wonderful rest of your day, and here is to your abundant, boundless creativity.